Welcome, dear students, to this next stage of Inovathon, where you will dive into the Blue Connection, a virtual company, an e-bike manufacturing company that you will have to take over in a team and transition from a linear business model to a circular one by choosing the right strategy, taking the right decisions. So it will be really concrete, it will be really about decision making, and you will have to become the management of a new company. So let's dive right into it and let's do the kickoff. So, welcome to the interface of the Blue Connection. Of course, that's not entirely true. I just have a fancy background behind me, but I will now dive into the kickoff, where we'll introduce you to this virtual company that you have to take over. And I'm your game host, by the way. So I will introduce you to the decisions that you will have to take in this stage of Inovathon. I will introduce the next rounds as well. So I'm really looking forward to this experience together. And let me stop showing myself, but actually start sharing my screen and going into this kickoff of this next stage of Inovathon. I'm looking forward to it. Let's go.
And I would like to start with a bit of an unconventional question. Maybe it's the question that we, as being a Dutch company, we always ask. As the legend goes, in the Netherlands, people are born on a bike. But for everyone who is not born on a bike, who has to learn how to do so, yeah, you probably didn't do it by reading a book or the definition of how to ride a bicycle. But what you did, I assume, was getting just on the bike with your siblings or your parents, and you just tried it out, and you basically learned by doing. And that's, of course, very powerful. But of course, then we try to do it in a safe environment where you learn by doing without scratching your knees or breaking your nose. And that environment is in our business simulation games. Now, what do we try to combine when doing so? So just a quick intro to our approach. We try to combine team building. So of course, you will also be working in teams. That also goes hand in hand with alignment. We believe that the circular transition is also all about aligning cross-functionally, so working across departments, and also thereby making it as realistic as possible. So working in a team and facing dilemmas, facing trade-offs, having to choose between different solutions. So exactly what you also have to do in a real in your daily job, basically. And by doing so, we basically develop value chain leaders with 4 different business simulation games. So we don't only focus on circularity, but we have already developed 4 business simulation games that are being used at top companies and universities globally. And we do this now for 12 years and have really gained quite a track record. And this excludes the universities, which I think count now more than 40 universities that we work with the Blue Connection. Now, 2 key figures to start with. Talking about circularity, probably most of you know these figures already. But if we talk about CO2 emissions globally, which is, of course, one of the key topics from the past years, looking at climate change, actually, what many people often forget is that, of course, 55% is the energy transition, but 45% is manufacturing. It's the manufacturing industry. And that's something where the circular economy can really be a game changer. So that's a huge impact that the circular economy can have. But if we look at the current numbers, the Circularity Gap Report, already now 2 years old, we are only at 8.6%. So there's a lot of potential still. Now, enough said for an introduction. Now to what we are all here for, the kickoff of the Blue Connection. So what is the Blue Connection? In the end, it's a learning experience based on a business simulation game, cross-functional. So you see it here already on this interface screenshot. 4 departments here at the top. It's cloud-based, so you can access it through the browser, and it's working with teams of 4 usually, because each team member will be able to choose 1 out of 4 management roles. And it has actually been selected as one of the 39 solutions to catalyze the circular economy by Sitra, a very big research institute in Finland, and Deloitte. So we are very proud to be featuring that list and be seen as one of the main drivers of circularity across the world. But more important, I think, is what are the learning objectives for all of us? First of all, we want to create a long-lasting impact. I will come back to this visual in a moment. And what we mean with that is that first, we want to start with showing people, and probably most of you know already, but circularity is much more than recycling. So there's many different circular strategies out there. So what are those strategies and how can you put those strategies into action? And that also is very closely connected to business model innovation. So we are really glad to be partnering up with BMI Lab, who can bring in these deep dives and add really a lot of value to this program. And then also looking at how can we measure circularity. There we have actually collaborated with the World Business Council for Sustainable Development a couple of years ago to gamify their metrics in the Blue Connection. We will talk more about this. So we're also really happy to have several people from WBCSD participating in this program. And I'm really curious to hear your feedback there, how we did that. And finally, the whole experience is all about managing trade-offs. If you want to go circular, you are constantly facing dilemmas, and you have to change to take certain decisions. So managing those trade-offs, choosing the right solutions is a key learning experience here as well, with, of course, all the soft skills that will come with it. So creating internal and external alignment, quick decision-making, teamwork, and also getting a high-level view on circularity. So getting this helicopter view is a key element too. And we will do this by making you go through an experience in the business simulation game and then reflecting upon that experience, conceptualizing it and getting new concepts, and then applying those concepts again and going through this cycle of experience, this experiential cycle several times, so that you leave this these 3 weeks not only with theoretical knowledge, but actually with some actionable insights, with some practical and hands-on experience. And what is the challenge in the Blue Connection? Well, the challenge starts with a problem, and actually not only a problem, but a very serious problem. So that's the starting point. Very nice, I know, but it's very legitimate, because this company that you will be taking over, so you will, every team that is participating here, you will be taking over a vertical company called the Blue Connection, and this company in the past 12 months has been doing severe losses of almost 7 million. It has a negative return on investment, so it really needs a turnaround. And for this turnaround, we need all of you to fix this mess. So the current situation is the following. We are managing a linear supply chain. We have certain suppliers who deliver certain components. With those components, we make our product, which is an electric bicycle, and then we ship that product to different retailers who have different customers and target audiences who use the product, and then in the end it ends up on the landfill. So this is the linear supply chain in which we operate in the beginning situation. And as mentioned, bad performance, no clear strategy. So our stakeholders are pushing us, let's try something else. Let's try to create maybe a circular business model, maybe that will help us turn this company around. And we can do so across 4 departments: design or purchasing, depending on what you want to call it, finance, supply chain management, and sales. So these are the 4 departments within which you can take decisions and how you can bring this company back on track with a successful circular strategy, basically. To give you a bit of a high-level idea of those decisions, I want to show you this slide. In a second, we'll also go into the simulation and make things more concrete. But within purchasing, it's all about how do I design my product. Within finance, it's about creating a return flow, a buyback price, and also managing your product as a service revenue models. It's about measuring circularity. In sales, it's all about how do I approach different retailers, and in the value chain, it's who do I work with and how do I set up my value chain, especially for the post-use stages of the product. Just a high-level overview to give you a bit of a flavor.
What we will actually do now is we will go into the simulation and showing you the interface and giving you a bit of an idea of where to find what, which is of course very important.
Let's dive into the first warm question. So what I've prepared here is basically a few very basic questions to navigate through the simulation, and by doing so, show you a bit of interface in an interactive way. And the first question I have for all of you is, how many retailers do we have? I go into the sales role. Then first of all, I will see a dashboard. So this is the role-specific dashboard. Not much going on yet, simply because we haven't taken any decisions yet. If I click on agreements, I will see the agreements that I can take with 3 retailers that we have, and those are HBS, Gearshift, and cheetah cycling. So if you scroll down, you will find 3 agreement sections because we have 3 retailers that we can work with. And if you're wondering what is Monsoon, Monsoon is the name of our product, which is the electric bicycle. Who are those retailers? Cheetah from France, very high quality, interested in very high quality and durability. So what does that mean? Their target audience is interested in a really high quality and durability. However, the company has been bought and sold several times, so it's owned by private equity and the credit rating is quite low. Gearshift based in the UK, more of a their target audience is more interested in convenience, so a very convenient, hassle-free experience is what they're looking for, and the company, the retailer, has a very, very good credit rating. And finally, HBS from the Netherlands, more of a niche player, environmentally sensitive customers, so their customers are really looking for the most environmentally friendly solution to buy, and those are our three retailers, and you can see already they all have a bit of different target audiences. Important to know, actually quite important, is that each of these 3 retailers have the same sales percentage for us. So we sell the same amount of e-bikes to each of these customers, basically. And that's my next question, which is, how much is the total demand per customer? So again, currently I'm in round 1, and if I go back to the previous round, to round 0, that's how I can enter the historical reports for this specific department. So if I switch between departments, if I move from the sales role to a supply chain role, then you will also see that the reports change, because those are the reports now for the supply chain department. Now going back to the sales department and the reports there, first of all, you will always see a dashboard with some of the key figures here. And here you can then click on customer with your customer report, and there you will see that the demand is approximately 20,000 for each customer per year. And in total, that's approximately 60,000 bikes that we sell to the customers per year. Now, important element here, this demand that we experience, it's stable. Whatever decisions you will take, the demand will always be stable. Of course, that's a simplification. We have basically done this to not make it a demand forecasting simulation. So that's not what we want to learn about. It's really about circularity. Moving on, let's go to the design/purchasing department. How many components are part of our e-bike that we are selling? So out of how many components is our electric bicycle made of? 1 product, 7 components, various suppliers. It's really about component selection, because we want to make this about the design of our product. And you can find them in the design/purchasing department. If I now go, I'm still in round 0. If I now go back to round 1, the current round where I can take my decisions, and I go on product design, here I can find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 7 components it's made of. And if I then click either on the so if I click on the link here of each of these components, for example, the frame actually being the most heavy component, so also the most impactful in terms of circularity, then I will see here an overview of all the different frames that are available in the market for us to buy. So we can now here, as a design manager, we can decide which frame, which component do I want to choose, and you see several different characteristics. So this is all about, decision-making, trade-offs, and dilemmas. So there's no one right solution. So I could not tell you this is the right solution, because it all depends later on your strategy and what you want to achieve, basically. Moving on, supply chain department. What do we need to hire labor for? In this business simulation game, you have to hire labor for 2 main processes, and the decision for that can be found in the supply chain department. So if I go to the supply chain department, I see it already here in the decision tabs. So you see here, you can navigate between the different tabs here. And if I click on refurbishing, that's where you can take the decisions regarding the refurbishing process, what that exactly means. I will get back to that a bit later. And if you click on maintenance, you can take this similar decision. So in the refurbishment, it's a refurbishment line. So it's calculated in shifts. And in maintenance, it's full-time employees. So you can hire a number of full-time employees, basically. So maintenance, usually small repairs, small maintenance activities that help to extend the lifetime of our product. And there's actually 3 maintenance programs that you can choose from: bronze, silver, and gold. And this decision is not taken in the supply chain department. There it's only about how many people do I want to hire for this. But the decision on which program is being taken in the sales department, I will later on, when I do a quick tour through the decisions that you can take, I will show you that as well. So 3 options: bronze, silver, and gold. And we will see what exactly that those mean. How many hours per week do they work? It's basically 40 hours per week and I think 50 weeks per year approximately. But if you want to get more information, so this is actually nice. So let's take the scenario: you are in the simulation and you're like, maintenance full-time employees. What does that exactly mean? How many hours do they work? You can click on this little icon, this little eye icon, and then you get, first of all, a definition. Can be very generic, like in this case. Now let's click on more, so to find out what exactly does that mean, and then you get here a more detailed explanation of what is meant by a maintenance full-time employee. So you can use those elements, for example, if you want to calculate in detail things such as how much capacity do we need. You can use those information sections to get your questions answered, basically. Refurbishment. What does that mean? It means make the bike good for use again. I took the example of an iPhone here. Actually, yesterday I got my refurbished new iPhone. You can see maybe my old one completely broken. That's a very common concept for phones, but also very good for electric bicycles and for many other products, because basically what happens is they're being brought back, they're refurbished as a whole, so they're not being taken into different pieces, but just refurbished. Some things might have to be repaired, and then they can be resold on the second-hand market. So those are the 2 concepts that just to share some more information on those. Now, going to finance, how do we create a return flow to get products back again from the market? Indeed, it's the buyback program, and it's basically, again, you see it a lot also in the phone industry or in other industries, where when you sell your product, you also offer to your customer to bring back an old product and be paid back for that. So a buyback price is what we call this, and you can set this buyback price for each of your customers. So that's the decision that you can take in finance, the buyback price, and with this buyback price, we can create a return flow. A return flow basically being the products that we get back from the market. Another example, IKEA, who have basically a circular hub where they are selling products that they got back from the market. They quickly made sure that they are good for use still, and then they're selling them in a circular hub, and they can do this through the buyback price. This is a pilot project only. So, and I'm not saying that IKEA is perfectly circular, but just that they're having some nice pilot projects, and I think this is a nice example. All right, what does refurbishing, remanufacturing, all of that mean? I also saw the question, what does bank mean? We had the question, what does maintenance, a full-time employee exactly mean? Again, you can always click on the little eye icon next to it. So in this case, bank, let's see if it works in this case, because it's it's simply, in this case, the bank that we work with. So here we can tell the bank how circular we are. And then based on that, the bank will give us a certain contract index, which is basically multiplier for the interest rate, which will influence, of course, how much we will have to pay for our loans. So in this case, I will just give you quickly the example. If I promise more circularity, so currently the interest rate is 6. If I give more circularity, the interest rate will go down. The logic here being, and we have kind of also gamified this with the help of a big Dutch bank, ING. The logic here being that circular business models, if really planned properly and implemented properly, they can really have less risk also for a bank. And then finally, I think this is one of the last ones. What indicator do we use as a measuring tool? So how do we measure circularity? So you can now go to the My Company screen, which is kind of the cockpit of the simulation. At the top left, you will see that button. So if I go to the My Company screen, you can see here return on material, or ROM or ROM, and then inflow and outflow circularity, which together create a circularity percentage. So this is on your cockpit. You can basically find how is your company doing at a high level, basically the main KPIs, and that's also how you will be ranked as teams. We have worked together with the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. So we have sat down with the experts who have developed the CTI, as it's called, Circular Transition Indicators, and also experts from KPMG who have also been involved here to see how can we gamify, how can we integrate these indicators into the Blue Connection. Return on material, it's basically a measure which compares your profit to your net kilogram of virgin materials. But secondly, we also look at the circularity percentage, which is basically looking at how circular is our inflow. So how much of our inflow is coming from the secondary market, you could say, and how circular is our outflow. So everything that is leaving our company, how much of that is not ending up on the landfill. Just to explain it in a couple of words, those are the inflow outflow circularity. We will come back to those metrics. Don't focus on them too much in this first week of decision making. That's the step by step, basically. And that's also leading me to the next slide, which is looking at our learning curve. And you see here the first stage of this learning curve is frustration. And that's, I think, in many learning journeys, that's the first stage. So everything is a bit confusing or overwhelming or too much information. That's normal. It's partially also by design. Our idea is really to say, well, first of all, no one said it is easy to come in as a new manager into a circular transition, right? So that's the first step. And secondly, it's just normal that, as we go along, you will understand more and more. You will become more and more curious. At some point, you will become excited because you start understanding the different departments, the decisions you can take, and then it will end up as enthusiasm when you as a team really understood how to connect the dots and you crack the nuts, basically. And then I think you're not yet confident that's something that you will have to build over time yourself. So I think we can really get you enthusiastic and provide the foundation to build this confidence in circular business model innovation. Right now, I would like to look at the learning journey in the Blue Connection, not from a pedagogical perspective, but more from a content perspective. And I really like this slide because it kind of summarizes it quite nicely. We will start again from this linear starting point. We are the product manufacturing company in the middle, and we can start implementing circularity already by implementing a circular design. On top of that, we can then also extend the lifetime. So this will be the first stage of our learning journey. How can we extend the lifetime, also called slow the loop? And one of the other strategies besides design is how can I maintain my product to extend its lifetime? Or as an alternative, how can I get old end-of-use products back from the market, refurbish them, and resell them on the second-hand market to kind of give it a second life? So these are all decisions that you can take to extend the lifetime of your product, and these will be the decisions for this first week. But later on, we will also look at remanufacturing. So you can disassemble products, remanufacture components, and reuse those and recycle the materials. They are here in yellow because you cannot take those decisions yet. Part of the frustration also, but we want to increase complexity gradually and not give you all the options at the same time, because that would be really overwhelming and too much. So this will only come next week. So right now, our focus is really here on this lifetime extension. So what does that look like? If we look at the supply chain, we have suppliers, we get 7 different components, as you saw. Out of those, we make our product, an electric bicycle. We sell it to 3 different retailers, if you remember, and then they sell them to the customers. But now, instead of the bikes ending up on the landfill, we can, first of all, maintain them to extend lifetime. And we can offer a buyback price, as you saw in the finance department, to get them back from the market, and then refurbish those returned products and resell them on the second-hand market to as an additional revenue stream, basically. So these are the decisions that we can take, or the supply chain that we are operating right now. And you see there's a lot of white space here on the left. That is basically because we are at the beginning of this transition and you cannot take all the decisions yet. For those of you who are familiar with the Alan MacArthur butterfly diagram, you will have noticed that we are operating here really on the right side of the diagram. So technical cycles of the circular economy. And this is an overview. Again, we will share these slides with you afterwards, so you can also have a look at them when taking your decisions as a team. These are the decisions that you will be able to take in this first week. You can see already quite a number of decisions across different departments. So you see here the 4 departments: sales, purchasing, finance, and supply chain. And in each of them, you can take some decisions. And I will go now into the simulation, and I will just show you what to look at for those decisions. So how to take them and what to keep in mind. So let's quickly have a look. And we'll also share the recording of this session, by the way, so you also have the voiceover. All right, so let's have a look. You have here the main dashboard. I'm not going to talk much more about that because we have seen that. If we go into the departments, in the purchasing or design department, again, you can click on product design and you can select the component you want to choose. Before I choose the frame, if I now want to look at the battery, I click on battery, and then I can choose among a certain number of components that are available to me. And keep in mind, you can only make one product. So in terms of design, you only make one product. Again, it's to keep things simple and to focus on the learnings here. We had a former edition with 3 products, which made it way too complex. So only one product you can design here, and you can always, for each component, you can make one decision, and you have basically to choose between all these different characteristics. Should be easy enough in terms of from a technical point of view, but from a decision-making point of view, quite difficult, as you can imagine, because there's many things to take into account. If I now want to go, for example, for the battery robust, you see here it's extending the lifetime quite a bit. You see also some other numbers on remanufacturability, recyclability, and others. A bit higher price, but not the highest. I can, for example, now select this one, and now I see here in the behind the battery robust, it says current component. So this is how you can choose your components in the purchasing department. That's your main decision here. If you want to have an overview of all components, you can also click here on the information section. It's quite a helpful section if you want to make kind of a benchmarking. So if I click on this, I will get an overview of our components, of our customers. So it's a very nice section to benchmark the different things. In this case, for example, which are the currently selected components. You see here, battery robust is now among our currently selected components. All the others are still on standard, so very standard components, somewhere in the middle. And here you see all the alternative components. So this is quite a nice overview. I recommend you to keep that in mind. So that's here the information section. If I go to the sales department, over here, if I click on agreements, here I can make agreements with my different retailers. Also here, you see this light bulb next to the retailer. If I click on it, you will see a definition of kind of a description of what they're like, some more information here at the top. So also very important to dive a bit into that. And then you can click on negotiate yes, and then your contract basically opens, and you can say, how much warranty do I want to offer? For example, 2 years. If I click now on calculate, you will see the sales price currently at 2,000 will go up to 2,150. I can also offer different maintenance programs. So I can offer, for example, bronze, silver, and gold. Those are my 3 options. If I go for gold, for example, I calculate, again, the sales price jumps up quite a bit. And I can offer a certain level of circularity. Don't focus on this too much in this first week, kind of just guesstimating. Let's just say 15%, I don't know. And again, you will see the sales price changing a bit. And then if you think you have taken the right decisions, you can click on deal, and you have logged this in the simulation. You can change this around as many times as you want. So you have 1 week to take your decisions. So if you have now clicked on deal, that's not the final answer. You have until next week. So this is how you can take decisions in the sales department. And again, you can take them for each of the different retailers. So keep in mind that they have different profiles and different target audiences. All right. Then if we go to the supply chain department, over here you can click on the refurbishing section, where you can again put in the number of shifts, and on the maintenance section where you can choose how many maintenance full-time employees you want to hire. This is of course connected to the decision that you have taken in sales. And then you have also in the refurbishing section, on top of the number of shifts, you can also decide how much refurbishment do I want to do. So this is the decision on the maximum refurbishment age, which basically means I'm getting an old product back from the market. Until what kind of age do I want to still refurbish it? You can imagine if you get a bike back from the market that has 2 years, it's still in good shape. You can quickly refurbish it and resell it. But if you get a bike back from the market that has 8 years, it's probably already quite broken, quite worn. So you might not want to refurbish it anymore because there's no business case for it anymore. So this is the decision that you can take here, the maximum refurbishment age. Very important to decide until what age of my returned products do I want to refurbish them. And finally, in the finance section, here you can take your decision with the bank, as mentioned before, how much circularity do you want to offer, which influences the base interest rate, and finally also the buyback price for your different customers. So here as well, you can differentiate. I can put in 1,500, for example, with HBS, 1,000 with Gearshift, and 500 with Cheetah. And maybe comparing to the sales price is 2,000 euros. These numbers are quite high. If you imagine bringing a product back after you have used it for several years and still getting back this much amount of money, that would be quite steep. So just examples to show you how you can take this decision. So you click on edit, you take a decision, you click on save, and then it's logged in the simulation. These are the decisions that you can take right now in the different departments. You have seen the historical reports, so feel free to dive into those for your respective departments. And you have also seen the light bulbs, get more information, as well as the little eye icons, which again show you a definition. And then finally, I would like to end this quick tour with showing you the depreciation graph. So bear with me. This is a very important tool. It's a decision support tool basically in the simulation, which shows you a long-term estimate, a long-term visualization of your decisions. So the decisions that you have logged right now in the simulation. And you will see here at the lower axis, you will see 0 to 10 years. And at the top axis, you will see the different values for the different curves. So you see here elements such as the return percentages in gray. So how many returns do I get in the different years ahead? What's my buyback price? The depreciation of the raw material value, of the component value, the depreciation value of my product, the average lifespan. So many elements can be found here in the depreciation graph. So a very important tool to kind of understand what are the long-term consequences of my decisions. This will be coming back every week in the debriefs. So again, if you don't understand it completely and fully right now, no problem. Just have a look at it, play a bit around with decisions, see how they impact the depreciation graph. So if I were now to change decisions, you would see also a change in the depreciation graph. Like, for example, this yellow line, it's very high here. It's in the middle here, and it's at the bottom here. It's the buyback price. And if you remember, I put it at 1,500, 1,500. And that, of course, influences these gray bars because they are the return bars. So if I now just deselect everything here, and I only show you the second-hand value, the buyback price, and the returns. Already there, you can make a business case of, in year 5, I'm getting a lot of bikes back. The second-hand value is 680, and I'm buying them back for 1,500. So already there, you see, I'm not making a good deal. I'm not having a good business case because I'm buying them back for more than double the price than I can still sell them for on the second-hand market, and then I haven't even taken the costs of refurbishment into account. So this is how you can use the depreciation graph, very important tool that you can use. You as a team have to decide. Each team member is taking their role, so you have to divide these 4 roles among you. So each team member is taking one of these 4 roles, and you can do so when clicking on Edit Profile. So there's 4 roles available. Each person can choose one, and a role cannot be chosen by 2 people exactly. So, and also if you want to switch roles in between, you can always do so in the edit profile section. So one person has to unselect it, save, and then another person can select it and save again. Simulation logic. These are long-term decisions. Circularity is about the long term, so we wanted to make the business simulation game also about the long term. So every round is a new long-term scenario. So don't be afraid to take decisions and take risks right now. If you take very bad decisions in the first round, that doesn't impact round 2. So each round that you will be taking decisions will be in a standalone scenario. You can completely turn everything upside down. So don't be afraid to take some risks and try out a bit, because how we've done it is that the decisions that you take in the simulation, they are for one business year, yes. So it's like you run a company over 1 year, but we extrapolate them as if you would take them in the long run, year over year over year over, again and again. So it's really to make you think in long-term scenarios, basically. And that's also, of course, why we have the depreciation graph to help you to visualize this long-term scenario. Please, if you have content-related questions, try to find them in the simulation itself. We have tried to make it as intuitive as possible. Like, again, for example, maintenance, the gold, silver, and bronze maintenance programs. You see here, gold, silver, bronze. What does that mean? If you click on this little icon I and then on more, then you come to a page where this is all very well explained.
That's it for the kickoff. Now it's your turn to take the decisions. I hope you enjoyed this introduction, and I know it's a lot of information, a lot to get started with, but it's called the frustration round, as already said. So just get together with your team, start taking the decisions, and you will see sooner than later the things will fall into place, and you will really get started with decision making, and it will take some time to really get there. But in the end, we really hope you will be able to set up a successful circular strategy and business. So good luck with the first round, and we'll see you for the debrief of round 1 and with the introduction for round 2. See you there.